All right. Good morning, everyone. How are you this week? So we're going to start talking about the new ad edit in Realm. So like I was just saying, Trev always does this where they introduce something new. So anytime you see a new icon or something about to, a new functionality, it probably means they're going to switch over to it. So it's just the interface that we use. It's nothing big. It's pretty basic. It's the same. It's not like we're adding listings completely different way. Like I say, it's just how you're actually loading it. But sometimes they change things. I don't like it. I really like the new Realm, the way it's working. It's really quite user friendly. Sorry, I'm just letting some people online there. So yeah, it's really user friendly, and I like it because it's easy to check. So I know right now the way we're loading listings in our system, you go through this whole big page and it's all tiny, 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 and you can't tell what you missed till the end when you try to load it, and it tells you all the things you missed. This is really like instead of one big thing, it's different tabs. It's really easy to follow, and I think it's a lot just clearer on how we're loading our listings. So we're going to go and we're going to start looking at it today. I'm going to share my screen. We'll go over to our Stratus. Okay, let me just get my mouse here for you guys. Has anybody tried loading anything on Realm yet or played around with the new Realm? So we had the functionality collaborate. We had that in our system. I don't know if you guys are used to that. Realm has also taken over that part, so maybe we'll do a training on that soon. You know how we're sending each other listings. Did you ever use Collaborate? Okay, so Collaborate was something where you could send each other your clients' listings, and it was really interactive. It was more interactive than our prospect search. So our prospect search, we just sort of set it up and it emails out every morning to our clients, whatever criteria we set up. The Collaborate was more interactive, so our clients could like listings. They could message back and forth to us within Collaborate saying, hey, I really like this listing. You could tell if your client had shared it, so you knew maybe they were sharing it with their wife or something. Maybe they really like the listing that way. So Realm is taking over that function, but they're also coming into our ad edit section. And so that's normally here under properties. Whoops. Okay, and ad edit is over here on our left gray menu here. And when we go ad edit lately, I know you guys have seen that we've been getting this option. Do you want to continue using the current ad edit, or do you want to start using the new ad edit? Like I say, when Treb does things like this, usually it means it's going to be switching over. So I have to figure out what the exact date is, but I know that it's going to be switching over soon. So you guys might as well go in, play around with it, pretend to load a listing, pretend to, put your own house up for sale, your own condo up for sale, and get used to it because you're going to have to start using it anyways to load our listings.
Add it because when I first joined, I was not.
So if you don't, that's a really good question. So if you guys go to add edit and you don't have that functionality, come in and book some time with me, because normally what we do as an office, because you and the office is liable when you load a listing and you do it incorrectly and there's incorrect information. So we usually don't give the permission online unless you come do a 1-hour session with me, and then Vahisan will open it up so you guys can add edit. I'll walk you guys through it once so you have a good understanding, and then you'll have it from there forward, right? So just let me know if you go into your ad edit and your function isn't there, if nothing shows up, if you're not allowed to add edit yet. If not, then just book some time with me, come in, and we'll work on that. Okay, so we're going to go start now. Okay, and it brings you into the new realm. Okay, so we're going to imagine that we have this listing to load today. So we don't actually have one to load. I'm just going to go and I'm going to look one up. Again, I'll use around the office. I always like to use around the office because everybody has a good idea of where that is. So I'll look up something that's sold previous. Let's just go here to Toronto. And our office is in EO4 area. And I'll
Christine,
just find
sorry for
something.
interrupting.
Yeah, sorry.
As you said, like I think I'm not authorized to add or edit.
Okay.
So it says like to change the permission setting, click check with your manager or broker of record. So is that something?
Yeah. So like I was just saying to Sadia here, if you don't have that function opened up yet, just book some time with me, come in. Normally what I do is I walk through everybody the first time they're loading a listing, because you're really liable and we're liable as an office for what you're loading if your listing is loaded incorrectly. So Treble like send a warning to the office. So normally we like to walk through people for the first time, but I'm sure
Okay.
like if we just ask, sorry, this is Ranjit, right?
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
I could just ask, because you're pretty tech savvy and you're pretty good, right? I know you've been working for a while. I'll ask Fahis and he can open it up for you if you want to practice with the function. It's just when you first log in, everybody's ad edit is locked. Unless you've had some practice or some knowledge on how to load listings, then it's Fahis can open up the permissions. So yeah, it's just a button that he has to click whether or not you can load it on your own. So I can ask him after this session if you want to practice a little bit just to open up your ad edit function.
Yeah, sure, not a problem. I'll sit and talk to you. Like I'll set up an appointment.
For sure. Like I say, I welcome to come in. Then we can at least walk through it once. I mean, you're attending this training too, which is good. I mean, that's almost exactly what I would do. Is I would just walk through and help you load your listing if you have one to load, and we just open up that permission for you. It's just normally something brokerages lock down until the agent gets some training or they know how to load listings already.
Okay, got it. Because I tried to follow what you are doing, like, and I'm stuck at one point. So
oh yeah, okay. So
okay,
yeah.
thanks, Christine. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to see something that recently sold around the area. So we have Toronto EO4, and I'll go search this. And I'm just searching for January just to see something. Now, normally you're looking up at a really old listing if your client is looking to sell again soon, right? But we're just going to grab an old listing and we'll say 24 Winter Avenue, for instance. Okay. So we're going to pretend this is what our client wants to sell and this is what we're going to load. So we're going to go back here. Now, the first thing automatically off the bat that I love is it lets you search for the address. Okay. And if you guys are used to loading your own listings from before, you can put in any address, but it doesn't automatically fill in some functions for you. So we'll look at those as we go along on the next pages. But you see, I just searched 24 Winter Avenue. It gave me the option of two. One was somewhere else and one was the Toronto one. So the Toronto address is what I'm looking for. So I've chosen that one. It automatically fills out the brokerage. And now you're going to go in and you're going to find your name because you're the agent loading the listing. Okay. And what transaction type are we doing here? So does your client want to lease it, sell it, sublet it? So we're doing a for sale. It's so beautiful already, right? Like just the way you look at it, it's so much. I don't know how we've used that other one so long because it's so tiny and it's so difficult to find where you are when you're loading your listing. And it's so easy to make a mistake in the old listing. It's got so many nice features, this one. So we're going to go for sale and we're going to go freehold because it's a residential freehold that we've grabbed. And the property type is a detached. Okay. We have 24 Winter Avenue. It's already filled all this out. If there's a street direction, you can grab that, north, south, east, west. Again, if there's an apartment number, you can grab that as well. And then we come to the area. So we know because we're looking at this old listing that, I'm just going to go click back on the old listing here, that it is Toronto EO4 Kennedy Park. Okay. But say your client's given you a listing that's never been loaded before. How do you find out where that is? Okay, so we're going to just pretend we don't know where this listing is. We're going to go into the Stratus and we're going to go use the Treb map function. Now, I know I've worked with a lot of you guys don't realize this function is here. It is fantastic because a lot of times when you're on the phone with your clients, they don't even know what district or what municipality they're in because they don't. Biggest problems, right? Because they don't know where they are. They don't go by these real estate codes that we use in the Treb map, right? So what we're going to do is the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try and search for 24 Winter Avenue. Okay. So I did this earlier. I know that this is a good example. That's why I picked it purposely. This is going to bring me up somewhere weird in St. John's. I'm in St. John's, Newfoundland right now. So I know it's not the right address. So I'm just going to go, sometimes it'll do that if there's duplicate addresses. The best thing I find is grabbing this postal code. Okay. And you're going to go back into the map. I'm going to go to search again. And it's going to bring me here. I'm just going to zoom out so you guys can see. I'm going to zoom up real far if I can. Okay. Now, when you're within this Treb map, you can click on municipalities. And when you click on municipality, you can see that it brings up all the districts. So the W's here are the West End, Etobicoke. And then the C's are all central. C stands for central, so downtown area and North York. Okay. E1, 2, and 3 are East York. And anything E4 to E11 is Scarborough.
And how do you know that?
Right? Just because you can see on the map, like when we zoom in a little bit further, you can see that E1, 2, 3 is that boundary of East York, right? So just get used to it. If you know it's in a general area, like you know it's the West End, you're not going to be searching E's or C's, right? E is East, C is Central, W is West, right? Okay. So now I'm just going to zoom in on this EO4 a little bit, so we'll get a little better idea. So this is the area around the office. We're all familiar with this. If you click on communities, it's going to break that EO4 down even further. So now we see that we have Dorset Park, Wexford Maryvale, Clarely Birchmount, Ironview, and Kennedy Park, right? That's all what makes up EO4. And we can see that our red dot has been dropped there. So we know this Winter Avenue falls in EO4 Kennedy Park. So we're 100%, we know where to load the listing now, even if it wasn't an old listing that we can quickly look up. And like I say, be very mindful too. This is entered by the previous agent. They could have been incorrect. Have you guys ever looked at listings and you're going, that's not Woburn. That's like, I don't know, the very next district over, right? Like it's whatever, right? So some guys do load listings incorrectly. So don't always go by the previous listing. So it's good to check up and do a check yourself. So now we know EO4 Kennedy Park. Okay. So we're going to go back into our listing we're loading and we're going to put in EO4 and Kennedy Park. Okay. And now we're going to create our draft. So it's just going to go into the draft that we're going to work on. Okay. Now, the first beautiful thing about this is you guys all know that we had to look up the assessment roll number, the PIN number, the area, and all that before. It's filling out a lot of that for us already. Now, if it's before, what happened when we load our listing and it asks us for an assessment roll number, we'd go to our GeoWare house. So I'm just going to click on GeoWare house real quick to show you where that information is, because you still need to be aware of where to find it when you're filling out your MLS data sheet and stuff like that. Okay, it didn't bring it up automatically, so I'm just going to type in the address, 24 Winter in Scarborough. We'll look at the property report, we'll click on it. Okay, and if you scroll down here, you will find the assessment roll number right there. Okay, there's a lot of information in here.
Condo has assessment roll?
Yeah. So the assessment roll number is there. So we're going to go back, but we don't need it because this new function, this new realm automatically loads it there for us once we find the proper address, right? So the assessment roll and the PIN number and everything are there. So now we're going to go down here and we're going to say fronting on. Okay. Fronting on is the next one. We get our choices of east, north, south, and west. So this is the next part where I find agents get a little confused. So we're just going to do a little quick check on how we do fronting on. Okay. So I'm just going to go to Google Maps real quick. Okay. This is the best way. You can, of course, like I say, the previous listing will say, but you always want to check yourself because a lot of people get this fronting on incorrect. Okay. So we're going to look up 24 Winter Avenue. Okay. And we all know that the top of the map is north, right? So we have north, east, south, and west, right? So I don't know what you guys say. We always used to say never eat shredded wheat, right? To remind ourselves. So here we have Winter Avenue. It's a north-south street and it's got an east and a west side. Okay. The front of this property on the red pin, sorry, if I hover over it, it brings up the box. I don't want to cover it on you there. But the front of this property is on the west side of the street. We get that? A lot of people like to argue because it's a little confusing. The house is facing east.
Yeah, so isn't it on Winter?
Yeah, it's on Winter, but it's on the west side of Winter. Oh, sorry, it's pulling up all these other boxes when I click on anything. So you have Winter Street here, right?
Right.
Okay. Now north, east, south, and west, right? This is the east side. This is the west side. The front of the house is on the west side of the street.
And how do you know that?
Because that's the direction it is.
Isn't it usually facing the, it's gonna be on Winter, so now facing this on the Winter and then east?
Yeah, that's where the confusion comes in. So a lot of people think because the house is facing this way, it's east, but they're asking you what it's fronting on. Okay, so the direction of the house is east, that's 100% correct, but it's the front of the house is on the west side of the street. Yeah, so that's, I know it confuses everybody. That's why I always take a moment to like go over it.
And I say it's on, okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's on the west side of the street. The front of it's on the west side of the street. Exactly. So now we know it's on the west side, fronting on the west side. And now it's going to ask us for the legal description. So we're going to go back to our good old GeoWare house here. GeoWare house is our resource for everything. And whenever you load something, if you have any mistakes or if anybody questions it, if you've checked Geo, you should have pretty good confidence that you haven't made a mistake, because that is your reference, that's your guide, right? So legal description, I'm just going to copy and paste there, must be no greater than 50 characters. So this is very annoying. So remember, very often when I tell you guys when you're preparing your offers, I really don't know why Treb doesn't get with the times and give us a bigger spot here. Very often, if you copy and paste the legal description from the listing, it is incorrect because it's not the full legal description. Because as you see here, they only give us 50 characters and I'm 4 past that, right? So a lot of times people eliminate. You see how it says here, lot 396, you know, PL 2029, Scarborough, Toronto, City of Toronto, right? It says it twice. A lot of people will eliminate some of that just so it fits in the MLS listing. The correct way when you're preparing your offers is to go to Geo and copy the whole big legal description, because that's for the lawyer, right? And then we're going to go to lot front. Lot front is also here in GeoWare house. So we're going to scroll down a little bit here. We're going to see that the lot front is 40 by 137.49. So I have 40 by 137.49. Okay. And here you should fill out feet or meters. Okay. And if there are any lot irregularities, so you can type in irregular lot, pie-shaped lot, whatever you want to write in here. If you know the acreage, you can write it in there as well. And the zoning. Now the cross streets is up to you, what you want to put, really and truly. A lot of people like to say, you know, even though, you know, I don't know, it might be at the corner of Kennedy and Milner, they rather say Kennedy and Ellesmere because that's a better section or a better portion. You just want to put something that's close and it sort of brings people to the property. So we can say this is at Kennedy and Ellesmere, which it isn't the property I picked, but I'm just going to show you an example and put it there. And then you can make sure that the pin it's dropped is correct for you. Okay, so that is the first section of you loading the listing. Okay, we're going to go and we're going to click on the next tab, which again, I say is the absolute most beautiful thing, because the old ad edit, if you guys look, I'm just going to show it to you for those of you who don't know what it looked like actually. And click on it so you can see as we're going along the big difference, the big change in the interface of how it looks. So if I go add edit here and I go continue to the old, I go residential for sale, continue. Okay, so just right off the bat, you can see it's not as clear, it's not as big, it's not as, you know, I guess pleasurable to look at, right? And it just goes on and on and on. It's just a big, long sort of list that even I get lost using it over and over again every now and then. Sometimes it's you're missing fields and stuff like that. So this is so nice and big. We've done one section. We're going to click over to our next tab. So list price, that's self-explanatory. So say we're going to load it for $7.99, right? Taxes, you need the updated tax information from your client. So you need to ask them for a tax bill. You need to be loading. So we're like, you know, quarter way through 2023 now. You're not going to be allowed to use 2021 taxes. Treb will send a little message your way. So it's only going to be 2022 or 2023 they're going to be accepting, right? So say it's 3,300 in 2022, because I had that my client has their full tax bill. Oh, see, so the new ad edit right there. So before they just wouldn't let you do it properly in the field. Here, when you click on the menu, it's only giving you 2022, 2023, because Treb will not allow anything older than that. Usually when you're about 6-8 months into the year, they'll only start allowing like that year too. So you have to be careful of what you're doing. You have to get that updated information from your client. Okay, so assessment and assessment year, you do not have to put in that information. So a lot of times it hurts you. So we're just going to go in here. We're going to look and see. you can tell that the assessed value is 441 for this property for 2023. Now I could put that in, but a lot of the public doesn't understand that our city assessed values are a lot lower, which we want that to be, right? We want our city assessed values to be lower because that is the amount that the city taxes us on. We don't want it to be the market value of our property. But so the public kind of goes, oh, 441, how come they're loading the property for 799? That's ridiculous, right? When will the city assessed value help you? So a lot of times when you go to more rural areas, they come a little closer, the assessed value and the market value, because in Toronto, our prices are a little like inflated. Sometimes it looks really good, you know what I mean? If the assessed value is, you know, from the city is as good as the market value, because it looks like you're getting the property for a good price, right? But most of the time we don't put the assessed value in our listings for that reason, because our job is to sell it for top dollar and we don't want to put a lower value in there, right? The contract commencement, again, we see when I pulled on the menu, it will only let me put, oh, actually that's 1022. I don't know why that's so old. It won't let you put anything behind us or ahead of us because we're not allowed to load. So when you get a listing signed from your clients, you're supposed to be loading that listing within 24 hours, right? So say I go to the 20th here, it won't let me choose the 20th, right? It'll let me backdate them, but I don't know why it's letting you go back so far, because as far as I know, our RICO rules are that we're supposed to be loading them in within 24 hours. So you should only be able to choose the 17th and the 18th today, okay? So you got something signed late last night from your client. Treb and RICO aren't requiring you to load it at 2 o'clock in the morning when you get home from your clients at midnight. You know what I mean? They're giving you that 24 hours. You can come the next day and load it. So if your documents are signed for the 17th, loading it on the 18th is still okay.
But if we fill it up and don't load it now, we can change it, go back to that and then change the date and then.
You can, but your document still has to match. So there's several reasons why you're going to be changing it. So I know that a lot of people, here, let me just go into our listing agreement. In our listing agreement, there's 2 different dates, and you can be really mindful because sometimes our clients say to us, you know what, they're signing it on a Monday evening with us, but they're like, I don't want to load it till Saturday because I want to paint and I want to, like, you know, clean up and declutter a little before you load the listing, right? So on our listing agreement, you guys still okay with the share there? Sometimes when I switch a bunch of screens, I lose the share. Okay, so we'll just go here to our Toronto one. Sorry, give me 1 second here. I'm just going to type in 200. It'll be easier. Okay, so I'm going to go create a new standalone form. We're just going to look at the form quickly. I'm going to stop the share and come back to in case I've lost any of you online there. I know when I share a bunch of different screens, sometimes I lose you guys. Okay, so on our listing agreement, first of all, we're going to make sure we're loading an MLS listing, right? Okay, and for MLS, we're going to say that, okay, the commencement date. So we're sitting in front of our client physically today. Today's the 18th, but they don't want the listing loaded until Saturday. So I can go the 22nd here. Okay, even though I'm getting it signed today, because at the bottom of the agreement, I'm going to say that I'm signing and giving them a copy today. So this date can be the 18th. Okay, so a lot of people get confused and they're like, oh, do I leave my document blank because I don't know, I can't get it signed? Or don't lose a listing. I've seen agents walk away and say they're not ready to load till 2 weeks from now. Doesn't matter, sign it today. Sign it today and put the 2-week date on later for the commencement date, because this is why they create the document here with the 2 different dates on it for us. You don't have to walk away, because in those 2 weeks when you walk away, they can decide to sign with someone else, because they can talk to their neighbor and their neighbor is going to go, no, 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 don't sign with that agent. I know a really good guy who sold my daughter's property, right? Things can get switched. So when you're sitting physically in front of them, sign this date, even if they're unsure, because then what you can do, like you were saying, say it comes to the 22nd now, and your client says, oh my God, we didn't get enough done. I'm going to need till Monday. that's fine. You already have the signed document with them. In the week you have them in there, they're aware that they've signed paperwork with you. You can just change this date on Itemizing, cross it out, and have them initial it quickly, right? So now if you go, just imagine I'm doing it in Itemizing. I don't want to get too far off what we're doing today, but I'm going to change the date to the 24th, and then I'm going to send it to Itemizing, have them initial the change, right? But get your listing agreement signed, and you can delay this date. Even though you're signing today, the commencement date can be in the future, okay? So then, even though you've signed the document today on the 18th, you can start loading this draft, but you won't be able to put in that the commencement date is the 24th until you come back in and you're ready to load your draft. You have to change that date to the 24th, right? Okay. And then the expiry date we normally pick, 3 months from now or so. Sometimes 6. If it's longer than 6, we have to get our client to sign that it's longer than 6. And then possession date and possession remarks. So people get confused with this a little bit. Possession date is, say, for instance, they purchase a property and they absolutely need June 15th as a move out date because they can't move on or before or prior, sorry. So I'm just going to go here to June 15th. Okay. So once I do that, I don't need to fill out the possession remarks section. But say I don't know what date they need, I can put in the possession remarks section TBD, which means to be determined, or to be aid, to be announced, or maybe they need immediate possession. This is just for me to let people know that, it's not a very specific day that we need, but, we can work it out in the contract. Okay?
But because there's a stroke on the date, we have to put a date.
You don't have to put a date here unless they absolutely need it.
But then it won't let you go because of the little star on it.
Because of the what, sorry?
You see, it says required fill.
No, this one here is the holdover days because I clicked on it and I didn't come back to it.
That's same possession date. No.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, so you're right. When the little star is there, it's a required field. But the way the program works is it's one or the other for this field. So out of the two, as long as one of them are filled, it'll let you bypass it. So it's not required to fill both fields, right? Okay. So then the holdover days here, we normally put 90. Again, what's a holdover date? That's the date after you expire your listing that you still have claim to that commission 90 days after the expiration of your listing, right? If you guys have any trouble with that, just let me know. And then the seller name. So it's asking us who's the seller name. Well, let's go and check our handy dandy GeoWare house again, because GeoWare house is our source for everything. And you can see here that the owner's name is Danielle Murphy. Okay. Sometimes there's 2 people on title. You need to put 2 people on here if there's 2 people on title, because you're going to need both people's signatures at the end of the day. And then the mortgage comments, you can put treat as clear if you have anything on here that you want to put. A lot of times we don't fill out that field. And we're going to come through here now to exterior. So we have detached, okay? Link, you have to put yes or no, okay? So we're going to say no in this case. Parcel of tied land, we're going to say no, but let's just imagine for a second that it was a yes. You see when I click yes, it changes the field for me because now I need to know what the parcel of tied land monthly fee is, right? So it's a smart thing where it brings up the fields as you need them depending on what you're clicking on, which is not what this interface did. Where was my tab I opened here? This one just had every field sort of mashed on here. So you didn't know, like even if you clicked on parcel of tied land, you didn't know you need to fill out. It's very easy to skip fields, right? But in this one, once you click yes, it's telling you need a parcel of tied land fee. So really, really smart. So in this case, I'm going to click no fractional ownership. And we're going to pretend that this is, I don't know, a bungalow. Okay. Is the parking, driveway, private, mutual, right? We're just going to pretend it's private right now. Not important things, but we're just sort of going through the fields to give you guys an idea. So how many parking spaces are there? 2, right? Now imagine, I skipped the garage field here. The garage is we're going to say it's attached with 2 parking spots, okay? So what we do is we're going to add them. There's 2 parking spots in the double garage, and there are 2 parking spots in the private driveway. So that makes our total parking 4, okay? Because you have a lot of people on there saying, I'm a big family, it's 4, I need a house with at least 4 on it. So don't hurt your listings by putting 2 here, by thinking parking only means outside. You're adding what's in the driveway and what's in the garage. Okay. And then water. Most of the time, if you're working in the city, you're working with municipal. Okay. And you're working with sewers. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of properties in Scarborough that are still on septic, especially if you're working in older areas. Like if you're working in like not so much Cliff Crest area now because a lot of those houses have been flipped, but you wouldn't be surprised. There's still some that exist. I sold one recently on Galloway down in the Guild. So in those pockets that were old cottage type properties in Scarborough, you have to be very careful. Some of them are still on septic if they haven't been hooked up to municipal sewers and stuff like that, right? And the municipal water. Okay. And then these again, retirement community, physically handicapped. None of these are required fields. Special designation is most of the time we're working with unknown. But again, don't just click unknown all the time. You need to know about your property. If it's an older home and you think it might be a century home or a heritage home, you have to look into that. But most of the time we're working with unknown. An approximate age and approximate square footage are not required fields. Sometimes they help us out though if properties don't look that big. You can pay for the GeoWare report. I don't know if you guys know where to do that. You can go in GeoWare. And sorry, it's not GeoWare anymore. It used to be MPAC. You can pay for the square footage. Now that they've amalgamated everything with GeoWare, you have to go to a different spot to get them off the MPAC report. So if you guys want to find out where to get the square footage, let me know. And we're going to go down here now and just see if there's any more required fields on here. There's no more required fields in this section. So we're going to go to the next section quickly. Waterfront, generally, again, we're not dealing with a lot of waterfront in the city. So we're just going to click next. None of those are required fields, but you can look and see what there is to click in those fields if you're dealing with cottages and stuff like that. Okay, interior. We've come to the interior. So number of rooms. Number of rooms is another thing that confuses a lot of people. So we see here, okay, winter, they're saying has 5 rooms, okay? What are those 5 rooms? So it's telling me that there's a library, kitchen, dining, primary bedroom, and second bedroom. That's what they figured are the 5 rooms. Library is kind of a strange one. So we're just going to pretend on our own, we're going to make up what winter is, okay? So winter is a regular bungalow property. It's a regular 3-bedroom. It's going to have a kitchen. It's going to have a living. It's going to have a dining. It's going to have primary bedroom, second bedroom, and third bedroom. Okay, so those are my 6. I'm going to put 6 rooms. Okay, and now my client has renovated it since they bought it. Sorry,
Christine, sorry. A quick question on that. I've seen like in the past listings, sometimes they don't include kitchen as a room. I just want to clarify that because some of the listing it says like they don't count kitchen as a room, but they say living, dining.
It's supposed to be kitchen, living, dining, right?
Okay.
Okay, and then the 3 bedrooms in this case, which makes 6 rooms.
Yeah.
Now let's imagine they put an addition on the back for a family room. That would make it 7, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna say that our client has renovated and finished the basement now as well. So the basement is gonna have a kitchen. But the kitchen doesn't really, they don't have like a dining room officially. So they just have like a galley kitchen with a living room, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a 2-bedroom basement apartment. So I'm going to consider that a 6 plus 4, right? Which is most common for basements because they're have you ever noticed if they do for basements, for total rooms, they're including the kitchen if you look at them, right? Because I mean, a lot of times they don't have a living or a dining and you'll see that they're including them as part of the room count. It's supposed to be kitchen, living, dining, and how many bedrooms. If an additional to those things, it would be a family room or a great room. In the basement, it might be a rec room. So in this case, maybe it's 2 bedrooms with a kitchen, a dining, a kitchen, a living, and a rec room. That would be plus 5 in the basement. So I mean, if you're unsure with the count, kind of come and talk to me. Even though I haven't seen the house and you walk through it, we can talk and I can say, oh, is there this or that, and we can get the room count correct.
Yeah. No, I always have a confusion because I've seen both scenarios. I've seen some listings included the kitchen, but some listings not, like they excluded the kitchen.
Yeah, you're supposed to include all the rooms. Yeah, so people know what's a separate
my understanding,
room.
Sorry, my understanding is so now like I just want to take like one position, like say now when it comes to room, I have to include the kitchen. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just to make sure. Yeah.
No worries, no worries.
Thank you. Thank you.
So then we're going to break it down a little further here, and we're going to put, we made this a 3-bedroom bungalow with 2 bedrooms in the basement, right? And then we have 1 kitchen upstairs and 1 kitchen downstairs. Okay, so that's our room count right there for loading the listing. And now we're going to itemize the washroom. So we're going to say we have 1 2-piece on the main level. Okay, and we have 1 4-piece on the main level. Okay, we're going to go over the pieces too in a second because people get confused with this. And then I'm going to imagine that there's 1 3-piece on the lower level. Okay, so my 1 2-piece is what? My powder room, my toilet, and my sink. Okay, my 1 3-piece in the basement is my toilet, sink, and shower. Okay, my 4-piece on the main floor is my toilet, sink, shower, and bathtub. And people always argue, well, it's the same thing. Well, not necessarily. Okay, so I have a neighbor, I think she's a little bit kooky. She just did her washroom and she only put in one of those pretty tubs. She has no shower in her basement washroom. And I said, what do you do to shower off? And you're like, it's crazy, right? So you have to itemize. Some people's houses are like this. They might have a tub with no shower. So even though you have that normal, you know, we see everyday tub with a regular shower, they consider that a 4-piece. If you walk in and it's just a shower, like a stand-up shower, that's a 3-piece. Okay. So what's a 5-piece? That would be maybe if in addition they had a bidet, or if they had a jacuzzi tub. Sorry?
Bidet is considered an extra?
Oh yeah, an extra piece. Bidet is considered an extra piece. Jacuzzi, if they had a jacuzzi tub, is considered an extra piece because it's an extra function. So those would would be getting into the 5 pieces for the washrooms, right? Family room. I see people click this off all the time and there's no family room. What is a family room? A family room is something in addition to a dining or a living room, right? So normal houses have kitchen, living, dining. Sometimes maybe people put an addition in the back, or maybe there's a sunken little place in some of these old bungalow styles in Scarborough, something like that. A family place is in addition to the living room. Do not click yes if there is no family room, right? And then basement is required. Okay, so what kind of basement is this? So I'm going to say that since we clicked it was a 2-bedroom, that there's an apartment. And I also want to say that there is a separate entrance. Okay, big selling feature for my property. Don't miss out on that. And then fireplace or stove. So is there a fireplace in the property? We're going to say no in this case. Okay. Quick note on fireplaces. What should you guys be doing for fireplaces for your properties? Okay, we're selling a lot of Scarborough homes. Some people have converted them to gas inserts or put a little electric insert there. Now, say there's an electric insert, or say they haven't touched it and it's just a regular fireplace, and you're walking through with your buyers or you're selling it for your sellers. What are we looking at to get, right? We need to make sure if they want to use them as a fireplace, as a regular wood fireplace, that we have a wet certification, okay? So if you say yes here, okay, a lot of agents are going to be calling and asking you what type, you know, is it a gas fireplace? Is it a wood fireplace? Because the listing doesn't let us itemize, okay? If it is a wood fireplace, you guys are going to tell your seller what you want to get a wet certification. If not, they're selling it as is. If the buyer wants to use it, they have to get a wet certification, which is basically just like a home inspection. It's an inspector. They come in, they inspect your fireplace, they inspect your chimney, they make sure that everything's up to code, because a lot of our Scarborough homes, again, the way they were built in the 60s and 70s, a lot of the issues are like the chimneys aren't tall enough and maybe the fire rating on the lining is not enough. So over the years, they've changed the rules. And when people stopped using them, the next buyer is now required a wet certification before they can use them, and their insurance will cover it. Okay, so insurance is going to be looking for this as well. So that's just a quick note on if you pick yes for fireplaces. Those are additional things you should be worried about.
So is it better just to say no?
If there's a fireplace and you say no, you're going to miss out on a selling feature for some people, right? So if there's a fireplace, you always have to say yes, but just be mindful what you're working with. For gas, you don't have to worry too much. They just vent out the side of the house. They're usually hooked up to the regular system in the house. Now people have converted. But if it's usually if they shove an electric insert, people can pull those out and then decide to put, you know, logs and use them because they're still working fireplaces. Or if it's just a fireplace they haven't used in years and years, if it's a wood one. So we're looking to, the concern is if you're using a wood fireplace, if you're planning on burning wood in that fireplace, you need a wet certification.
So if people don't have certificate, isn't it better to say there isn't any?
Yes and no. Okay, so if they're never, ever going to use it, fine. They don't have to say it for insurance. You have to be careful if that house is on file from before with that insurance company, they might know it, or they can look it up in previous listings. But at the end of the day, it's always best just, I mean, you can say no, I guess, if you're never using it. You got to be careful with insurance because if something happens, insurance is going to say, hey,
Or
we didn't.
Not functioning.
Yeah, non-functioning, not planning on using it, planning on ripping out. I guess you could figure out with the insurance company what you're going to do. But you want to make sure that if by any chance they're going to use it, it's up to date, it has a wet certification on it. Otherwise, insurance won't cover it. Okay. So the heat source, again, most of the time we're dealing with gas. A little bit older homes might have electric or oil. You don't see it too much. Oil, I think, you know, is mostly like East York, old homes. Again, we've seen a lot of conversions over the years. So gas, forced air is mostly what we're dealing with. And whether or not the property has air conditioning, is it a wall unit? Excuse me, is it window unit? Is it central air? Is there none? Okay. UFI, so urea formaldehyde. So basically we're looking at older insulation in the home. So you need to know with what age home you're dealing with. If you're dealing with a home built in the 90s, you don't need to worry so much as if you're dealing with an older Scarborough home built in the 70s. So, I mean, the 90s built homes, you know, east of Nielsen on, you know, I don't know, Choice Land or Zaff, somewhere around there. Those ones you wouldn't worry as much as if you were dealing with homes, you know, at Vic Park and Maine and Danforth, right? They were built in a lot older time. So you need to ask these questions and find out what the insulation is. Central vac, yes or no? Most of the time we're dealing with no. Laundry level. So is it lower, main, or upper? I'm going to say it's lower because we're dealing with a bungalow here. Technically, most of the time they're in the basement. Elevator or lift, self-explanatory. I'm going to go next. I don't want to run out of time on you guys. So again, the room detail, love it. Love the new interface on it. It doesn't give you a whole bunch of little ones. You get to deal with one at a time and only add as many rooms as you need. So we're going to go here. We're going to start itemizing that on the ground level or main level, I'm going to say. My first one is, I always like to start with the kitchen. So we're going to say there's a kitchen and we're going to say it's 3.3 meters by 4.0 meters. Now, please remember that you're loading in meters all the time. They want you to load in metric. When the public sees it on realtor.ca, it shows up in feet to them. They can convert it. They have a little button. They can switch on realtor.ca. They can convert it to meters. But please do not put 10 here. So for instance, say you put 10. People are thinking that is 10 meters. The conversion when they see it online is going to be crazy, right? You have to make sure that you're measuring in meters, which is pretty easy nowadays. Before, we used to have to take a measuring tape physically to the house. Don't use old listings measurements, okay? They could be incorrect. Generally, if I check 2 or 3 and they seem okay, then they'll use the rest of their measurements. But I like to go around with my laser measure now. It's $20, you go buy it. Super easy to measure rooms, super accurate as well. And you can convert it from feet to meters as needed on it. Super easy, right? Otherwise, before we'd have to like measure with our measuring tape and then we'd get, 10 feet and then you'd sit and you'd calculate while you were loading the listing and convert it all over to meters. Description. So they're just going to let you put things in here. So maybe I'm going to put that it has, just picking a couple quickly because I don't want to run out of time. Ceramic floor. And, it has Corian counters and a 2-way fireplace. That's going to be a nice feature. There we go. And then you're going to add rooms as necessary. So keep on adding and adding your kitchen, your living, your dining, whatever you're itemizing in your listing. Generally, we don't itemize bathrooms in here. Some people do if it's a really beautiful bathroom I see, because then they can put 5-piece or jacuzzi, whatever you want to put in there, but you don't have to, okay? And then in our comments, we're going to go here. So remarks for clients. Remarks for clients are whatever you want the public to see. Big, beautiful house, wonderful neighborhood, gorgeous upgrades. You cannot put any of your information on here. So you can't put, call Christine today for more information. So there's no advertising allowed in it. Treble will slap you with a fine for doing that. You can't put any personal information in there. So you cannot put, you know, tenant occupied, please give me 24 hours notice, because you have to be mindful of what the public can see and what we can see. So when you look at a listing on realtor.ca as a public person, and when you look at it on Stratus as an agent, the occupancy is a private information. They don't give it publicly to people. So do not put anything that shouldn't be in the remarks for clients. If you're unsure, you can ask me. The easiest way is to click on brokerful and clientful on your listings and look at the differences of what's there, okay? The reason there's brokerful and a clientful is because when anything that's brokerful is private information to us. So we shouldn't be sharing that with the public freely. And if you go clientful, that's all the information they're allowed to see. Okay. Extras, what's included? So fridge, stove, you know, extra, sorry, you could put jacuzzi here. They changed this recently. You could put jacuzzi here. You could put stuff that's like not normally there. You want to advertise there's a central vac. Maybe they won't notice the little click in the listing. You want to say that, you know, they have, I don't know, you know, hand scraped, you know, wood flooring or something like that. You want to put it in there. Something that's special about the house. The inclusions would be your regular fridge, stove, washer, dryer, what's included with the sale of the house. Exclusions. So I don't know if you guys have noticed when you're looking at your listings that these are all new fields. This is because of our new Realm coming in. Realm has taken it back here. Before we put inclusions and then we put a little note about the exclusions, but now they actually put the fields in here, which makes so much sense. So the exclusions would be like, oh, you know, your client wants to take the chandelier in the dining room because their grandma gave it to them. So you'd put chandelier in dining room. Rental items, you know, hot water tank, furnace, you know, whatever we're normally putting here. And then the remarks for brokerage. So this is only what you want to see agent to agent. So I might put 24 hours notice, you know, no showings after 6. Please attach Schedule B. I'd put information if I had a bid date set, all that fun stuff. We'll go to the next tab. So other, you're going to put in your information here. Make sure you put in your phone number. I hate those agents that don't put their number in there. Those secret agents. Why be an agent if I have to chase you down all the time? It's very annoying, but I mean, that's just my personal opinion. The commission to the other brokerage. So you're going to put here whatever you're putting in. So 2.5%. I like to put plus HST just so it's clear. Okay. Seller property information statement. We're not normally putting them with our listings, but they're a good tool to use. We can chat about that another time. Energy certificate, you don't have to fill out information. Green property, you don't have to fill out that. Distribute to internet. Yep, I want my listing on the internet. I want my address on the internet. Distribute to DDF IDX. So I don't think anybody had heard about this before, but we just loaded the KV Core. And so now everybody has heard about DDF IDX. So what does this do? This makes sure that your listing gets on all those websites that subscribe to this. So we just subscribe to it because we want to use our KV Core and we want it to interact. But websites like House Sigma, Zillow, Zolo, whatever, all of those ones, they subscribe to this. So as soon as we load our listings on there, it automatically feeds to their websites. So I always say yes, more advertising is always a good thing for your listing, unless your client wants to make it private. So I've had clients that want to make it private. They'd say, I hate Zillow, it always underestimates the value of the property. So then you'd click no in that case, if your client doesn't want to see their listing anywhere else but MLS. And then permission to contact listing brokerage to advertise. Again, I always click yes. Of course, you can approach me. I'd love for you to advertise my property. I'm always of the mind that, you know, more advertising is better. You could put in your open house times. Here you're putting in your occupancy, right? Contact after expired. We always want no. We don't want people calling our clients after. And the same place where we can put in all our links. So normally we're putting in almost always our virtual tour in there. And then the next tab, we're going to load all our photos, right? I'm not actually going to load any right now because we're running out of time there. But you just click on it and you can choose the files from your computer. It'll just bring up your browser there or not your browser, but you know, it'll bring up your thing there to go through your files to find out where your pictures are. And then last but not least, the attachments. So we're normally uploading floor plans or schedules that we want to attach to our listing, disclosures that we're making if there's some sort of disclosure. And that's where we're normally putting that. Okay. And then when you're all done, you can load this. I'm not going to load it and make it live. But you can go through it again. You can come back at it. If you go into you can preview what your listing is going to look like as well. So listing draft preview. Oh, it hasn't got it there yet. Let me download it. And you can also go back into it's not displaying it very nicely there. Okay. Okay. You can also go back into your settings. So you can go into your drafts here and see, it'll be the one that you're working on. So what are you working on right now? You're working on 24 winter. You can go back in and click on it. And the beautiful thing is now I can click through the tabs and I can see if I'm missing anything, I can very clearly see that it's going to tell me a big, it's going to give me a big red field. I'm just going to delete something. So it's super easy to see. See that tab is coming up with a warning there. I can tell I'm missing something in that tab. So really easy because it's broken down into small chunks instead of that big long listing that we were working with before. Right? And I'm going to save my draft, work on it later, check it out with you guys. So practice, practice, practice on it. It's going to switch over soon. They haven't given us a date. They gave us a time trial period. Now they're telling us we can actually load live listings with it. The next thing will be that it'll be the only thing we can load listings on. So get used to it over the next few months. All right. Did you guys have any questions there online?
So Christine, one last question.
Sure.
So while we are working on the real live, realm, but are we still need to do the paperwork?
Yeah, you have to do the paperwork.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's not extra. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joanne's going to chase you down for that if you don't have your paperwork. So
Exactly. So I was
Yeah.
thinking everything is going online right now. Okay.
I know. No. Unfortunately, we still have to hand out. I mean, you can do everything online without ever printing it. Like send it to your client, authenticate, save the PDF,
Exactly.
then just email it to Joanne. So you can do everything online that way, but you still need the signed paperwork.
But still need to do the thing. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thanks.
No
Thanks,
problem,
Christine.
Harry. Thank you. Thank you very much, Randit. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you this week. Oh, this Thursday, everybody, please come to the office and attend. If you can't, I'm going to post it online. I will, but I really want you guys to attend. We have a guest speaker coming in from RBC, and he's going to talk to us about a lot of exciting things, our current market and how he can help our office. He's going to bring in a small team. I think he's even bringing in a commercial guy. So please join us this Thursday for that. That'll be training on this Thursday evening. Okay?
Sure. Thank you.
All right, perfect, everyone. I will see you soon. Have a good week. Bye, Paul.